Good morning, this is Pigsy doing another video. I had an experience recently where I woke up early in the morning. It was still fairly dark, and I could kind of see this sort of almost as a figure, because I was there sort of dozing, and then my eyes were sort of opened up, and I could see something that but it had a long face anyway, put it that way. And then you sort of think aloud. Just close my eyes and just think aloud, and this entity was it identified itself as a Saurian, um, and then a lot of people had called these reptilians and stuff like that. So basically, it's like something from the dinosaur gene pool, and then I asked it where's it come from, and it said it come from basically the underworld to go to the overworld. So it's come up here or something like that. It made a reference that I wouldn't have used. I would have said it, from the inner earth. So it used a dialogue that's different than I would use. And these are kind of things. If you're exploring sort of dreams and stuff like that, it's the interactions within it. Would that be the sort of thing you'd do normally? And if there's things in it that just don't normally add up, these kind of details are worth writing down. I mean, it's worth documenting your dreams anyway. They might come up in some other form later on. But I also had an interesting dream that night. It had so basically there's some people and some animals were in an area, and this gorilla was released, or the gorilla was in there for some reason, and he didn't like the animals, so he sort of ran off, and these people sort of pursuing it a bit in this enclosed area, and then I said, look, I'll deal with it, and then I basically told them, because this dog started getting a bit arsey with this gorilla started barking and stuff. So I said, look, just take the dogs out of the way, and then basically it came back to me. So I wonder if it was what might have happened is this entity tried to access my mind without me having knowledge of it, and what happens is a bit like nightmares. It's tripped off a kind of a system, like an alarm system. So the actual gorilla, in fact, was this entity moving around. So that's why I probably engaged before I woke up. But what you sort of what I met it with was compassion, because in my mind, if this thing was actually gorilla and it was trying to get away, it didn't mean to cause any sort of harm. It just wanted to be free or left alone. So I just waited to one side and let it come to me. So that's that inner meaning of that dream, is that basically it's something trying to probe my mind. That's why this entity turned up that I had no control over. That was, like say, running around in my head. I'm just trying to take readings and things like that. So I guess really for people listening to this video, I think if you've got any sort of certain clairvoyant abilities, these are kind of defences that you might have built up over time. You may have been like me, because when I was very young, I used to have some horrific nightmares, and they just constantly throughout the night. I just used to pass out. I used to see things, and then I just used to eventually I just like hide under covers, and then I'd go unconscious, and then I'd wake up, and then I'd see the light of the day against the cover, and I'd pull it back, and I'd see, basically the sun's up. I used to hate the idea of sleeping in the dark, because I didn't know what was coming for me. But then even with the light on, the actual entities were in the room, so it was very freaky growing up. And that was the age of sort of 5 years old. Probably younger, there's some more activity, but I was more aware of things, I think, from the age of 5 upwards. So yeah, and you got this other stuff that's going on with the Pizzagate and their doorway to the elite, and what they do with their sort of rituals and sexual abuse of children. There's some interesting stuff also covered. But basically, Madeleine McCann, it had the connection to who done it, sort of thing, and even having like I think it was the son of Darwin, who's got a villa in Portugal that's down the road from where she went missing, and he's a prolific paedophile. And basically these chaps are his friends. So I think that's probably the next connection. If there clearly are friendships between these two, as the Podesta brothers, that basically probably kidnapped her and killed her. I think it's likely that her body's in that round that actual land or at that villa. It's just a case of these Portuguese police moving in on it. So I probably flagged it up and say, look at this, and they've really got to take it in. They may be paid off just to let it go, basically, but I hope not. And we don't really know what her parents actually the real deal on them is, whether it was a sacrifice in some way or something bizarre like that, because the Satanists abuse their own children as well, and it's a kind of because if you sell your soul to something, basically you're saying I'm willing to do anything for this person. It's under contract, basically your will is my will. So that's the kind of situation they enter into. So that somebody will turn around and say, I want you to do this, or I want you to kill this person, or you're going to be a part of a ritual. And they do all sorts of things. I think some of the sexual abuse also involves this sort of sex cult magic. There may be rituals on certain days that take place. So it's worth looking at the pattern of the elite. I think it's trauma. So it's like trauma, and then they try to invoke demonic entities and this trauma to feed off this energy, and then in return they assume these entities will sort of serve them in some way. So it's all really bizarre stuff. But where you've got things where there's like these false flags terrorist attacks, there's likely other types of rituals going on in the background, like some sort of sexual rituals, things that involve some elite and so on, stuff like that. So yeah, so that's that. That's my take on that. So this is Pigsy signing off, and speak to you soon.